Welcome to Select Board meeting, Monday, June 5th, 2023. I'd like to call this meeting to order, starting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Manifest, is there 5:30, payroll 5:30, we have an opportunity to look those over?
Yeah, let's see here.
Okay. Matt?
I didn't thoroughly see it, but I saw that they were there, but I didn't see anything.
So if somebody would like to make a motion.
I make a motion to approve the manifest for 5:30.
I'll second.
Motion made by John Warren, seconded by Matt Sherlin. Roll call.
Matt Sherlin, aye.
John Warren, aye.
Ben Bartlett, aye.
I'll make a motion to approve the payroll for 5:30.
Second.
Motion made by John Warren, seconded by Matt Sherlin. Roll call.
Matt Sherlin, aye.
Aye, John Warren.
Aye, Ben Bartlett.
We do have 3 members, so we can make it, if you want to go, we can, did you have any questions on the minutes? Since you were here and only I was here.
No, I looked through and that's this one. I don't have anything for either the public meetings minutes or the non-public. I had additional comment, so I can move to approve the public minutes and approve the non-public minutes for 5:15.
I will second that.
Okay. Motion made by Matt Sherlin, seconded by John Warren. Roll call.
Aye, Matt Sherlin.
Aye, John Warren.
One abstention. Okay, reports.
I was unable to attend the planning board meeting, but that last one, doesn't matter, so I wasn't able to make it. They do a planning board meeting this weekend. The last planning board meeting was about the subdivision that's going in on Smoke Street. So if anybody has questions, they do have the minutes that are listed online. They want to read, but it's got a ways to go.
Okay. CIP didn't need anything on Marston. Tim's not here. Do you have any
No.
Marston?
No, I don't. He will be coming in late, probably closer to 8:30 if we're still here.
Okay.
Oh, the planning board meeting that's coming up tomorrow will be about a possible storefront happening on Route 4 at the end of 152. They're coming to Blue.
Okay.
Over at the,
So they sold cars, they sold everything there.
Oh, that building. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
It's directly when you come out right after the end of 152,
Yeah.
into almost Northwood.
Town administrator.
Okay, the first item of business is we received the invoice from PLIA requesting the support for the Lake Coast program. It was approved in the budget for $5,000 this year. That's the total invoice amount. I put the invoice in for processing. Betsy had said in the past the board had split the payments up. I'm not sure why this was past practice or if that was something you wanted to continue or just to issue the invoice in full.
I have no issue with issuing it as whole, as long as the rest of the board is in agreement.
it seems like with the items that I've seen on Facebook, the amount of work that they need to do immediately, it seems best to put the money and try to attack everything they can as quick as possible. It seems logical to just pay it all in full.
So the money that this is going for, I will go to probably maybe some of that, it's also the Lake Coast program. The volunteers, the full-time people that actually watch the boat ramps for it's possible bringing in any type of invasive species, which they do a great job at, but it's our job. And a lot of demanding hours from 5 or 6 in the morning and there till sunset at night, 7 days a week, depending obviously on the weather. So I think the time in the past, last year we had $10,000 set aside for the Lake Association, this year got cut to 5 and that's why it's half. Am I recalling that properly? No, good, okay. I don't mind giving money then.
Okay. Do you need a motion on that or no?
No.
No.
The second item is the Conservation Commission has recommended the reappointment of Deborah Kimball. You had done 2 appointments at the last meeting. This is the 3rd. So I'm looking for a motion to appoint her to the Conservation Commission and for you to sign the oath of office that's included in your packet. Not your packet, I'm sorry.
The red
Actually,
packet.
yeah, it's in the red packet.
Sign now, or we have to go through the motion of.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So we'll make a motion, well, any discussion, I mean, we're good with this?
I don't, I mean, if the Conservation Commission is recommending the reappointment, so she's been there, she's put in time, I don't know anything about, so I don't have anything negative or positive to say, but
Okay.
it seems logical to continue on.
John?
With them on the same statement.
Okay.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the appointment of Deborah Kimball, or reappointment, to the Conservation Commission.
I'll second that.
Okay, the motion was made by Matt Sherlin, seconded by John Moore, roll call.
Matt Sherlin, aye.
Joe Morgan.
Ben Morrell, aye. Unanimous.
Okay. The third item, and Dan Decker and Lori Anderson are here to talk about the state primary election. The date has been set for Tuesday, August 1st. My question to you is, you are to set the polling location. We do have a couple of events. The Summer Rec has their summer concert planned at the bandstand, and the police department's hosting their national night out, and it kind of takes place all over the property. There's question is whether or not there's going to be parking issues. Probably not, based on what we're expecting for attendance, but it's ultimately up to you whether you want to try to hold it here or if you'd like to try to move it to the Nottingham School, and I think they might have some discussion on that as well.
Sure. What they have to say. Yeah.
Want to the school, do you want to hear?
Well, it sounds like is there an issue with the school or no?
I don't know if they've been contacted yet or not. I haven't.
Ideally, I prefer,
Steve, sit down.
I prefer it to be at the school so that.
No, I'm taking a picture of you. I know they can't stand me.
Don't be so hard on yourself, Steve.
What do you mean?
So I pulled out the historical information from our last special election when we had both a primary and a general to replace a state rep. It was in 2015. We had 146 voters turn out for the primary and 616 for the special election. Our current voter list at that point was 3,512 people. We are now at 4,000 people, so we're looking at a little bit higher numbers. My initial thought, and Lori can chime into this, was that with the low numbers expected for the primary, which is set for August 1st, doing it here would certainly be easier. And then having, and where we used to do 700 or 800 for town meeting here, then we wouldn't have to interrupt the school and we wouldn't have to deal with the camp issue. And so to have both of them here. However, there is the possibility that we do not have a primary election, that we go straight to the general election. We won't know that until sometime next week, is that correct? And if we go straight to the primary, straight to the general, and we have 600 people or more voting here at the same time as those other events, that certainly changes the picture. So I actually recommend that you guys hold off on making a decision if possible.
I think that's a fair statement.
Until we know which elections we will.
I'm good with that if you guys are fine.
Yeah, so I just had a quick question. So either way, well, the primary was on August 1st, and then the general would be at that later date, no matter what. So if we determine we don't have a primary, it's still the second date for the.
No, it would still be the August 1st date. If there's
August
no
1st would
primary,
end up
then the
being-
general's August 1st.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
okay, so that kind of.
When I confused, the primary is on August 1st.
Yes.
There will be an election on August 1st, whether it's the
Correct.
primary
Yes, that's
or the
right.
general.
That's correct.
Oh,
And
no.
turnout's going to depend on
Huh.
who runs and whether we have a primary and a general or just a general.
So if the election's uncontested, you know, between parties, if there's just one candidate for each party, there is no primary. There's just a
okay.
general.
Okay. So yeah, definitely, we need to know that, and that depends if you want to
And we wouldn't know that till after Friday, 'cause Friday's the last day to sign up.
Okay.
And that's at
So,
the
so
state.
even if we wait until the next meeting, that still give you plenty of time to prepare as far as which location goes, right?
Oh, yeah.
June 19th.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
When I looked on the website, it said that the dates to sign up were only today and tomorrow.
That's here at the town hall. If they wanna sign up for the rest of the week, they have to go to the State House.
And when is that day?
Thursday, Thursday?
Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Okay, thank you.
They have to go to Concord for that. I have what, and I missed it. So, I lost my thought.
Either way, then we can manage the numbers here.
Okay.
And we wouldn't have to take a day away from the school kids in school, but we might have to take a day away at camp potentially in order to do it here.
Oh, I know what I was thinking, if maybe you could send an email to Chris Souza, just know that we're working,
Okay.
That's a good
and
idea.
we'll let him know.
Do you know if he's been contacted at all yet?
I haven't got it.
Okay. Okay.
So the issue with the August 1st date is a concert, a police.
And we have to cancel the summer rec program for the day?
And cancel the summer program for that.
Correct.
Okay.
And when would be the general election?
It depends if we have it.
But if you had it, when would it be?
I think the date's September 12th.
Thank you.
Yeah, whatever that, it's actually not the second Tuesday, I don't think over there. It's it's an off Tuesday, like the third Tuesday. Yeah, you looked at it. Usually I bring my phones over the
It's
calendar.
in September,
Yeah, it's in September,
most likely in the middle
after
of the
school
month.
starts.
All right.
And we can definitely keep costs down,
Mhm.
having it here,
Yeah.
than having it up there. It's just less manpower to set stuff up and everything else.
When we had the last election here, it was much simpler, don't you think?
Yeah.
Especially if we have lower turnout, it would be better to have here.
Agreed.
All right. Thank you.
Do you want me to just keep it to the action items and then I can do the
Sure.
reports after so we can get into the appointments?
Yep.
Okay. The last item that I have for you is we discussed setting up a work session to discuss the recycling center policy, the can baler or hauling options and other related items, but I haven't been able to secure a date yet that works for everybody, so I don't know if you want to wait until Tim gets here, then you can at least get 4 out of 5, maybe work on setting that work session up.
Yeah.
Our next meeting is scheduled June 19th, and then the next meeting would be July 3rd, which is the eve of Independence Day, so there was a question as to whether or not you were gonna meet that night or not. Town office is open, so I don't have,
Why don't we, we'll make that decision
on the 19th.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I have plenty of updates, but I'll let you carry into your appointments so we don't hold anybody up.
Okay, so we'll just roll right into the appointments. Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes. Okay, some of this,
Come right up to the seat there.
Yep.
All right. Be sure to state your first and last name and your address.
yes,
To the mic.
Frank Gonzalez, 113 Kelsey Road. Okay, I've got some paperwork that I want to pass out.
Sure.
It'll help make this go a little quicker.
Please just be careful of the wiring.
Is Tim going to be arriving?
He will be later.
Okay, I'll leave one for him as well. You've seen some of this stuff.
Watch your steps.
And you've seen some of this stuff too.
Thank you. Actually, just, why don't you hand me a couple of them, save me the trip. I don't want you to trip on any wires.
I don't even,
All right. So,
I still ski, so I bounce pretty good.
Frank, do you have an extra copy for the press?
Aye.
Do you have an extra copy for the press?
No.
No, okay. How do you spell your last one then?
Gonzalez, Gonsalves.
Put G-O-N.
I'll give you a card.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate it.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Okay. Is Steve gonna be in tonight?
No.
Okay. Okay. Did I give you one of these map things, Ellen?
No.
What I'm doing is gathering information. A lot of this stuff is becoming new. There are 8 houses around the pond at Kelsey, on Kelsey Road, and the sanding, or salting rather, that's gone on has been pretty strong. I did find out finally, and after talking with UNH, the state, DES, EPA and so forth, nobody knew what the toxic level for salt was with plants. Turns out that one of the greenhouses told me, oh, it's 70 milligrams per liter. Becomes toxic to plants. And nobody in our group can pass that test. We can't water our plants. When I was at 200 milliliters per gram of my chloride, I killed my beans, my cucumbers, my garden was a disaster. I'm now at 370 on the chloride and 246 on the sodium. So my numbers are going out of sight. I'm still waiting on some more tests so I can actually develop a plan. And my initial situation here is to be kind of brief and just present some good information. So I'm developing as to what's going on in our group. One of the wells is 200 feet deep and it's in the aquifer, and it's coming back at 200 milligrams per liter on the chloride, which is getting dangerously close to a problem. I do appreciate Ellen's work. She's responded very, very quickly. Okay, there are 2 things that I'd like to request tonight or have you folks evaluate. The first thing is, this is probably going to take a year or 2 before we can actually get this program going, where a well will be replaced, specifically mine because my numbers are getting too high. I'm looking to get a tax credit for the things that are going to cost me, such as the water that I buy, the testing that's being done over at the state lab. It's probably going to be $1,000, $1,500 or more, just to be prepared. So I'd like to be able to present invoices for all the work that's being done because it's a town problem that is perpetrated on me.
You are gonna provide us with the reports that you're stating for the well.
Oh, I can, yes. Yeah?
From accredited,
From the DHHS lab.
Right, which is, yeah, just
Right.
from one of the local, there's 3 local ones around the area.
Right.
That people use when they get their wells done for their house brand new, so.
Right.
It should be one of them that I presume that you're using.
Yes, I also used up in Barrington, the well place, but they were $40 for a test for chloride or sodium. At the lab, they're 15 for sodium and 12 for chloride. So the lab over in Concord's a lot more effective. I've also had the brook tested down where that 1-lane bridge is, because I'm curious as to what the baseline is going to be, because that's where I'm drawing my water from right now for my garden. And I've just purchased a pump for that so I can actually, feed my plants this year. And my plants normally have done very, very well. And that I can document, from witnesses and neighbors. So that'll be enough. The first item would be a reimbursement for some of the expenses until we get through this thing. The second thing is I'm looking at eventually to find a way to avoid the 4% tax cap. And there's one of the documents in here that pertains to the Snow program. And because Janelle, who was the perpetrator of the distribution of salt. He did not go into the program. Steve Landry from the Department of DES indicated that they did not participate, and that does not give him protection from the state. So he's liable for possible insurance or for or litigation, to pay for this project instead of the town.
Well, it's a lot of information to go over,
Oh yeah,
so
and I'm learning every day.
obviously we're not prepared to,
I'll make a decision tonight, I didn't think so.
so this is gonna have to take some time to digest.
Yeah. I've also talked to Epping Well, and they're gonna give me plenty of information, precedences, just like the road, or Two Berry Road had their well replaced by the state because it's on a numbered highway. And from what I gather, there's quite a few wells in Chichester and the surrounding towns that are having their wells replaced by the towns because it's a,
So when you're saying your well is 200 feet and it goes into the aqua, your well?
no, my well's a surface well.
So, okay, all right.
And I stopped the driver several times, and in the past, when Johnny Fernald was the highway agent, nobody would ever salt the road. It was fine. And then after the first, in 2022, they salted the road 81 times for about 10 storms. I mean, they didn't even put the plow down half the time. So that jacked my rate up substantially. Then last year, this last season, the first storm, they hit it 9 times. And I told the fellow on the second pass, please don't salt the road. There are 2 wells on this street that are near the road, 30 feet away roughly. So I'm getting that plume, right into my well at this point. And DOT tells me it's gonna get worse before it gets better, even though it's in the springtime with the rain coming in, because that salt is being driven in. And this is all part of the investigation that I have to do to present a case. But I think if you can work with me, we can solve this problem and go after the real perpetrators, which would be, Janelle #1, which is from Lee, that failed to heed the recommendations of the state and the Snow Pro program.
I guess I don't see the connection with Janelle.
They're the ones that actually put the salt down. They were hired by Sean. and Cleve.
Subcontracted.
You
Contract.
didn't put that down?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
And I think Kelsey Road had less of an issue, so I may be able to save my well by moving it. So this is a bit of a problem.
Okay.
I'm kind of retired and not working anymore, so it isn't that I've got the thousands to actually dump into it.
Okay. Well, like I said, Mr. Gonzalez, this is a lot to digest. This will take some time to go over.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, if you, as my counterpart here mentioned, any tests that you have done, what have you, you want to include them in the packet in the future?
There will be quite a few tests, because they keep everything on the computers over the DHS.
Okay.
Assisting everybody on your road too, right?
Almost everybody. There's one at the end of East-West Lane. His well is so far back, I don't think he's got a problem. But because the pond is at 96 milligrams per liter, which is beyond the salt level, I can't just pump into the pond for my gardens and flowers and all that stuff.
Okay.
And then we'll talk about how we're gonna solve this problem with whatever action takes.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Also, if I get a list of the emails, I can put you on email and just give you all copies of things as I learn them.
She can CC us on everything.
You can just send it to her. She's very good at sending it to us.
Oh, yeah.
You can just send it to her.
She's very, very quick on things too.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, well, that's basically what I came in for,
Okay.
to present more items, and I've got 4 more tests that I'm waiting on at this point. And as this develops, it'll probably be another 3 months before I can really have a program to put together. And we'll see where it takes us.
All right. Well, thank you for presenting this, and
So we should be seeing you by the end of the summer.
Oh, yeah. When you can't, water my flowers and.
No, I understand, yeah. I want to make sure I got time frame, so not hold it.
Right.
That's all.
Like I said, it's gonna take, I can shower, I can flush my toilets, but I can't do anything. We buy water to drink with. It's just a very inconvenient item, and I can't sell the house now because I got a bad water system. So. Well, very good, I'll look for the emails and we'll start going back and forth. I'll get you some tests.
Thank you, Frank.
Very good.
Thank you, sir.
Ben, thank you. You Marine?
No,
No?
Air Force.
Oh, me too.
Well, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Bassett? Careful where you're stepping, please.
Famous last words? Maybe two.
Kevin Bassett, 101 Shore. Here today to show you a partial plan of roads, specifically the Lamprey Drive end of the new channel road off of Dolph Dam. And Jim has some drawings to show you. We sent in some questions, and I guess the point of coming here today is to get some questions into you, head them towards the appropriate folks, perhaps town attorneys and such, that can answer some questions on the roads. Do you want to take over from here?
My name is Jim Frank, I'm the engineer who prepared these drawings. And you share? Sure. Here.
I have the small version.
During March, April, and May of this year, we surveyed these roads. They're shown on your drawing. There's a portion of Dolph Dam Road, Channel Road, Indian Run, and Lamprey Drive. We've also started the boundary survey for lot 7025, so we could put it all together. And our questions were, I think I've outlined them pretty well on this memo form. Our questions are primarily, what do we do with these roads? Now, I know the warrant article very clearly said that these roads will be transferred to the town of Nottingham as Class 5 roads as is. Well, our question is, what did the townspeople mean when they said transfer to the town? Was it the maintenance, or was it the fee, the actual ownership of these roads? My impression is that it was the intent of the people, and I'm just coming in at the end of this, was their intent that the town would take over the maintenance of these roads. I don't think the townspeople really have the authority to give part of my client's land away. So that's one of the first questions we have. An easement, is there need for an easement of additional width? over these roads for the convenience of the town to maintain them. The warrant article said as is. These are, on your drawing, it's shown as is. And they're variable widths, 12 to 14, maybe 15 feet wide in some places. And we're wondering if we were to prepare an easement plan to clarify the limits of the town's responsibility, what is the selectmen's thoughts about how wide the easement would be?
There was a 4-lot subdivision done on the top of White's Grove, okay? Now, when they placed the markers, they placed it on one side of the road for some lots.
Yes.
There was another lot, lot 4, on the other side of the road. Its markers are further into the woods and don't border the original road. As with, they made that lot 4 space more into the woods for possible making the road wider,
Yes.
if necessary.
Yes, and we did that. We did that for Rehill Trust.
Again, Green Hill Truck, there you go.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know exactly what I'm talking
Yes,
about.
yes.
That's the property we're talking about.
Yeah, but that was before
So-
the town warrant article.
But again,
Yeah.
using that as an example, because you're asking, because again, I don't think, I'm just spitballing with you.
Yeah, that's good.
There, right? That if you took the center of the said road, or right there, and use that same margin of 12 on 12 on each side, and it's because if you're gonna subdivide all this into its individual properties, that's the intent of the goal, correct?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Would be to, then you'd actually be possible for a subdivision, because we require under planning 25 feet wide.
Well, that's the thing.
Again, I'm just, I'm,
Yeah, well, that's part of our questions. I know if we went directly to the planning board, they would be asking for certain standards. However, what we'd like to do is to get clarification from the Board of Selectmen of their understanding of their limits. What are the limits of these, the town maintenance of these? If these are 12 to 14 feet wide now, actual traveled surface, and the owner does nothing with this property, where would the selectmen's liability or responsibility start and end? Would it be on that 12 to 14 foot wide road? And I'm looking again at a bigger picture. Someone drives down there and they go off the road. Is the town responsible for something beyond the traveled way? If they run into a tree, if there's a gully, a ditch, and they run off the road, is there any liability for the landowner? And is there any liability for the Board of Selectmen because of the maintenance aspect of it?
well, that is a lawyer's
Yes,
dream for what
yes.
you're talking about right now, because there's 1,000,001 situations that you could apply towards, first say reasons why that tree that the person hit, which was not exactly in the traveled path, but could have been into the 25 way,
Yeah.
could have possibly went over due to the fact of speed, due to the fact of a rock in the road, due to the fact of a squirrel running in front. I mean, there's a million unforeseen reasons. So it's pretty tough if you're gonna ask us here to give you a definition or a reason, or what we're,
I'm not. What I'm doing is just posing the questions. I do not expect an answer without the town consulting with the town's attorney. These are class 5 roads, just the same as any other class 5 road in the town is. And so I think under that guideline, the town selectmen, the road agents, they have the same obligations to maintain these roads. What standards are there?
there isn't.
And that's what I noticed on the next warrant article said
So
that the
there's
selectmen,
the question, right.
it's overturned. So we have also as I've outlined in here, the Lamprey Drive. There's a subdivision plan that created Lamprey Drive. I have a copy of it with me, I brought with
Yeah,
me.
from 1966 to 1961, the one that shows the road going around,
Yes.
which they just redone.
Yes.
Well, where?
And the lower right-hand corner of the drawing has Town of Nottingham Board of Adjustment. And there is 4 or 5 signatures on it. We have not been able to find out what that action was.
What you, oh, that went back when the plan was originally developed?
Yes, there's no planning board signature on this plan, but it is signed by the Board of Adjustment. So if there's any, Remember-
More 1960.
is there anyone, I don't know, I mean, it's possible,
I wasn't alive.
well, I was. I was, so it's possible, that someone may know about this. We've asked at the town, earlier, when we presented the lot line adjustment at the north end of Lamprey Drive about 2 years ago. And they weren't able to find anything at that time.
And we just recently asked about a month ago, Ellen,
Yeah.
you were there.
So when a road is shown on a plan, it's a dedication of that strip of land for the road. And as such, if the landowner who shows that dedicated strip does not do anything with that, he doesn't grant it away, conventional standards are that the lot owners that abut that strip of land take title to the center line of that strip. Now, this being Lamprey Drive, shown on a subdivision plan, laid out 33 feet wide, but the road was never constructed within that layout. So we have a different set of standards, circumstances. We have what's called prescriptive easements. We have the road, this is where it was intended, this is where it was built, there's a prescriptive easement. All these people here have the right to use some portion of what are now Class 5 roads. So that's where we're looking for some guidance from the town council as to what the board would like to see and what the legal answers are. We can make assumptions. We can submit the plans. I could even prepare a boundary plan and put it on file at the Registry of Deeds, but it doesn't make it so. It's like a subdivision plan or a lot line adjustment plan. Putting the plan on file at the Registry of Deeds does not transfer the property. People have to step up, they have to have a deed from one person to another. Usually they have to rewrite mortgages, things like that. So what we're trying to do is to forestall any of that confusion in the future.
For the new subdivision.
If there is a subdivision.
Well,
Yes, assuming that there will be.
There will be, right.
Yeah, well, I'm assuming that there will be as well. So we have these questions, and I thought they would best be answered by the town council. At least he could weigh in on it and give the selectmen some guidance onto this. We could just jump right in, submit a plan to the planning board for lot line subdivision, lot line adjustments, things like that. And at some point, I'm fairly sure that the planning board would ask for input from the Board of Selectmen. What would the Board of Selectmen like to see?
So we're trying to do that first.
Well, if I'm correct, you got one, depending how many lots you're trying to make, when you do over 3 lot subdivision, you know, that's a major subdivision. So then you're gonna have to go under the plans of the regulations of subdivision.
Yeah.
Of building the road 25 feet, doing all the regulations. Then upgrading the whole road for that subdivision.
Is that true?
That's, I mean, typically, I mean, there's already a road there, so this is a level that we have. But we just did, Jim Rosberger's road on the other side of the lake, where all his lots are actually adjoining the same road. Right, he's only have lots on one side, so
Yeah.
we know where to drop their boundary lines, because we're gonna drop them right on what there's existing.
Yeah.
You know, where they're coming off. So unlike you could have a property on 2 sides of the road.
Yeah.
You know, so it's question is where do you put your boundary lines on and how wide that road will be, or is it to the level where the road is now?
And is that the landowner's option to decide? Because if the landowner were to subdivide on one side of this road.
Yeah, again, this is something I mean, I've never with all.
That's right, nobody's been in this situation before. So that's what I said, I think it would be in everybody's best interest, before we spend the time, money, and to go through this subdivision process, and then find out that the town council says, you shouldn't even have started.
Well, the question, if we do ask anything of our attorney, is gonna be a limited question. We're not gonna, I mean, don't expect the town, I mean, we'll give you an answer is what you're looking for. Attorney says this is what you should do, stop. That's what you're looking for, is what an answer. Correct?
Say again, please?
You're looking for the town attorney to give you an answer of what, how you proceed in zoning the road to lots, that sort of thing?
No. If under New Hampshire statutes, if a person came to you and said, I want the town to lay out a road, and this is the route that I want, the selectmen would have an obligation to respond to that. Now, usually, if you go through the statutes, you find, and your own town record books, 5 people get together and they say, we want a new road to go from point A to point B, and here's the citizen's petition, it's initiative, they go to that's presented to the Board of Selectmen. It's not anything to do with the planning board, because it's a new town road.
That's already been done through the planning board.
No, nothing to do with subdivision at all. It's just people get together, like this, very much like this. They say, we want a town road to go from the state highway, to go all the way up through here and serve our properties. And we want this route. And what I see from the town warrant article is that's exactly what happened. They said, these people got together and they said, we want this to be our new town road as a class 5 road, and it's up to the Board of Selectmen to lay it out as such. So that's what we're looking at, town statutes, or state statutes, for the layout of a new road, not a subdivision. It's a new road.
Why is it new? It's still there. I mean, I understand we took it on, but it's not new. It was put in the 60s.
But it was private, now it's a road, you own, it is new.
The transferring was transferring the maintenance and the plowing and et cetera, right?
Yeah.
That was the question.
Intent.
That's the question.
That's the question. Whether we accept the road as is, which means the road as it sits, with whatever, or, and that we just continue maintaining it. That's the question that has to be answered.
It's like if people, if there was a discontinuance of a road, say in 1920, people got together, the townspeople said, we no longer need this road, this is a town road, we no longer need it. They have a town meeting vote and they discontinue that road. 50 years goes by and the people who own property on that road petition the Board of Selectmen to lay out a new road in the same location. It can be done. Quite often the Board of Selectmen would say, yes, we can do that, but it's up to the landowner to bring it up to Class 5 standards. So that's what we're looking at. Do we bring these up to a Class 5 standard before we proceed with any type of subdivision?
Do not know much about this. I've seen that when you brought it up.
Yeah, but then there's, I think that's a huge hardship on the applicants to bring up a road this size onto brand new subdivision standards. I mean, it'd be.
So you're saying.
I mean, it's just, but bringing up a road, if you had all this land in the middle of the woods and you were putting in a new road, it would cost a substantial amount to build that as well. I don't think building up
Yeah.
Improving the standard of this road to the standard that it needs to meet today. It's not-
Well, again, that's one of the things is that because it's already a town road, it is. But now the question, I think the question is, again, I don't know if it was wrong, is, aren't you asking, is this all due about the width of the road? Like where we put markers for lots and?
It could be, it's,
Well, I
you know,
guess-
the old adage is, when a road is discontinued, you take ownership to the center. Now, that's not true in every case, because it depends on how the road was laid out. Was it laid out by an easement or an actual taking, where damages were awarded? So, people think, well, yeah, I own to the middle of the road. That's not the case always, and we're trying to solve that now before we get down to that. Like these lots that are here now, these lots that exist, all these individual owners, they take title to the center of the road. Otherwise, there would be strips of roads, there would be strips of land all around these lake lots, all around the entire deckway, little strips of land that are owned by the original landowner. And that's not the intent of what the statutes have. They recognize, and the court cases have recognized, title extends to the center of the road unless it's expressly excluded by deed. Now, these were not excluded. This road was not excluded from any of these conveyances. As I said, I think we could get an attorney, a legal opinion from our own attorney. He could present that to the town, and then we could proceed. But I thought, rather than do that, if the town's attorney and a private attorney were to talk about these things, perhaps they could just put their heads together and come up, what does the law say?
So many scenarios.
When the Warren article said that Lamprey Drive is now a Class 5 road. So does that mean he can go in and get a building permit in the interior loop of Lamprey Drive?
Sure, for one lot.
One lot. And also go in and get a building permit on the land that's between Lamprey Drive and Indian Run. Those are Class 5 roads now. So just go in, get a septic system design, get it approved by the state, go get a building permit. These are the questions, before going down that path, we'd just like to get the town's input as to what they think.
Well, because the lot size is 50-something acres, 55, how big is this lot? 55, give or take, right? You can build anywhere you want on it, as long as you meet the setbacks and everything you want.
One lot, one
Yeah,
house.
one lot,
Yeah.
anywhere you want.
But these are Class 5 roads, so every time the Class road circles back around itself, it has created a lot in between.
Which was not my original intent.
Right.
Same with this landlocked piece and this landlocked piece.
Right.
Specifically intently, that piece.
And presumably those will be taxed as a buildable lot, because it's surrounded by a road.
Well, you can have your parcel go through a road and own on both sides and consider one parcel lot. There's plenty of them out there we can talk about that happen all over the lake where just because there's a road, you own this lot over here and this one here, it's the same lot. It's just the road's going through.
Right, it's private easement, it's an easement, a prescriptive highway, yeah?
Right, I mean, in recent subdivisions.
Yeah.
I mean, it just happened a couple
Yes.
years ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's the same lot is on both sides of the road. It's not two different lots, it's one lot.
Yeah, and it's the same for current use. Yeah.
So, again, that's why when I think about your question, where you put your lot, well, it doesn't matter. That you're one single lot. Even if there's roads going through it, it still makes it still one lot.
Well, that's what I say, that was the question, because they had named these roads individually as Class 5 roads. Indian Run, Lamprey Drive, Dolph Dam Road, and Channel Road. Those were named specifically as Class 5 roads to be transferred to the town as is, where is.
Just to be clear, Channel is new, it was Lamprey,
Lamprey, yes.
but.
Yes.
but-
So on the
Channel
road next,
was
on the road that's on, let's go Shore Drive, again, the Cahales own on Shore Drive. They own one side of Shore Drive, the other side of Shore Drive, which abuts, Stevens Point Road, which actually gets cut off by Cove Road, but they still own that one there. Then they own the other lot, which has Shore Drive, which gets cut off by Cahill Lane, and gets cut off by Cove Road. Same situation you're in here,
Mhm.
one lot. So, one lot. So it doesn't matter if there's other roads intervening or making in between the things, it doesn't matter, you still own one lot.
Well, perhaps. That's what I say, that's what, before we go down all that road, we'd like is if the,
So what I'm looking for you right now, and again, sorry guys, I'm just speaking out, you don't mind me just
I understand.
using what I've known from my experience. You should be telling us what your intent is, so that we can ask our lawyer, what, if this intent is legal for us to do.
I see.
If you want us to go into not wasted, take that back, Kevin,
No, I'm sorry.
capacity. If you want the town to spend money on explaining all this, you know, I'm not gonna be okay with that. But if you want us to ask a specific one question to our attorney about what you need to do, and be specific about this road and subdividing it, that one particular question, I don't think we mind asking. But if you want the town to ask the attorney to spend 20, 30 hours on investigating this whole situation for this particular subdivision, it's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna, I won't,
I understand.
I can't vote, I can't consciously vote for that, for doing that.
Yeah.
But for asking a question that you need us to answer to our attorney, a single question, or maybe two, that's a different way of approaching it.
Okay,
So
fair enough.
what I'm looking for you, is what I'm asking the question is, what do you need to know? Is it okay that if we took this road and split it, made it 25 feet wide everywhere around it, would that be okay with the town and okay? There's a single question, done. If we left the road exactly at 16 feet all the way down or wherever, Scumber measures up, and that was the road for there it is, can we put our boundary lines right there? Is that your question? What is your exact question for us to ask?
That's fair enough. Yeah.
That way we're.
We have asked some in that
Sure.
letter that Jim
Go
put
ahead.
forth,
Yeah.
but to itemize them and be a little more, I'll say, straightforward with the question,
Yeah.
is what we can do.
Yeah, I see the intent if you made 6 lots would be great, 6 big gigantic lots there, that would be all wonderful. Absolutely, I think if that subdivision, when I sit on planning board, if that comes, I think that'd be a wonderful thing. We're not there yet, not close.
Oh, no.
But, I don't, big gigantic parcels in Nottingham are something that I've always been a fan of, for people to have.
That's the intent.
I don't have anything more. No any questions?
So, let us know, as soon as you do, then we can proceed to get going down the quicker.
From my perspective, we'll try to get something back to them for the next meeting in 2 weeks.
Can we do that?
Sure, if you want to submit it to us, that'd be great, or come in front, or.
Sure. Okay.
Thank you much.
Thank you. Why, sir, 6 is on it, this May, 8 years on it. Yeah, by 2 different,
Okay.
oh, yeah.
All right. Getting back to action item reviews from last meeting, wasn't there, so no market signs outside of paperwork.
Those have been placed.
Okay. Road condition, parking lot condition, closing out at the beach, that's all good to go.
Well, I mean, it was taken into comment. John brought it back up last week, or last meeting when you weren't here.
Okay.
Obviously, the beach is open now, so.
Yeah, we start open on Memorial Day. I think they open at 8 AM is the gate unlocked, so it gets locked at 7 or
I don't know. the
8.
hours. 8?
Wait, is it 8? Yeah, I think
That's
it's
an
8.
hour later than usual.
9 to 8, correct.
It's 9 AM to 8?
Mm-hmm.
That's what the sign says.
Okay.
Did we get an answer with the lifeguards?
So the lifeguards, they are to, I will say, younger lifeguards. They are scheduled to be there when the summer rec is there, but not additional hours. So we're still hopeful that someday we can get somebody, but we are very fortunate to have these two people that were willing to get their CPR and lifeguard training, and we're just gonna take advantage of it. But I think that they are subject to work hour restrictions.
Now, I think I get confused on when people are saying, and it's me learning here, so the town beach is the town's property, correct? The road and the parking lot and all that, but then the boat launch further down the road, that was the state-run property for that park? Okay.
Yeah, technically, the town has a right of way, again, talking like we just talked about. We don't own the land from Deerfield Road into the town beach. That is owned by the Fernald family. We just have permission to access that road across their property in order to get to the town's said property.
Okay. And then how big is it back there? Like just the parking area and to the dam?
Yeah, you go up,
That
you
kind of
go
works.
around, there's a big center, like trees and stuff in the middle, and it's like a little.
We've been there, I just wasn't curious where the,
There is no design park, and you kind of just, I think people
Yeah,
just park
yeah,
wherever
into the
they,
Wherever they go.
yeah.
If you look on the town map, you can see the lots, and it's
like,
put on there,
no,
the
like,
actual town map,
okay. Thank you.
if you go on your website.
Okay. Assessing, I guess we have one intent to cut. Any questions or anything like that? No?
No. So I looked at it, it looked fine to me, so I will make a motion to approve the intent to cut for map 29, lot 8.
I'll second.
Motion made by Matt Sherlin, seconded by John Moran. Roll call.
Not sure on that.
I just want to.
Ivan Bartley.
Tim DeBrio, aye.
Unanimous. General business.
Are we looping back around to finish out Ellen's town administrator report? We didn't close out all of her FYIs through.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, the first thing that I'm going to bring up came up today, and it was following Saturday's meeting regarding the state park expansion. There was documentation that was provided by the state that stated that the town of Nottingham would be eligible to receive approximately, it was, I think, $270,000 we would have been eligible to receive last year for payment in lieu of taxes, since the state park does not pay property taxes. So it sparked quite a few curious emails, phone calls, visits in person to me today, inquiring why we're not taking advantage of it. It's something that the selectmen have to apply for annually by September 1st. So I did some research, and I checked with Betsy, our bookkeeper, and said we were receiving approximately $200,000 from the state. I was aware that we were getting the highway block grant and the room and meals tax allocation. And she was like, no, absolutely not. So we also knew that we were getting money from the Division of Forests and Lands for about $4,000. So I called our monitor at the Department of Revenue, and she directed me to her supervisor at the Department of Revenue, and we talked about it, and he said, absolutely, the town is receiving it. We file annually a PA-16, it's done by the assessor, and on that report he has to say, okay, the market value of the state park property, according to the MS1 that was filed this past September, it was over $100 million. And if somebody takes that and calculates it based on our current tax rate, then it does calculate out to be about $200,000 in the pilot, as they, whoever this representative was for at the state that presented this information. However, that's not the way the pilot is calculated. It's actually based on a current use per acre assessment. So we're talking like dollars per acre. anywhere from like $3 to $20, depending on where it gets categorized. So that's where we get the $4,500 per year. So unfortunately, I think everybody got really anxious and said, oh, we could potentially have $200,000 to $300,000 in additional revenue due to the town, but that isn't the case. So I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. So the supervisor at the Department of Revenue has already reached out to the Division of Parks just to let them know that, no, that isn't the case. You've referred to our annual reports, and they're getting the Equalization Bureau and everybody involved. So,
Well, I hope they submit something back to the Lake Association so they get it corrected, because that went out to a lot.
it went out to a lot of people. It's also posted online because I received a copy of it, and then I just did a quick Google search because that's what everybody does, and there was the document right there with that information on there. So it is.
Amazing how misinformation can spread very quickly. That's
Yes, and it.
It's called viral.
Yeah, thanks.
So it's in the state's annual report, like
It
you
is.
said.
Yes, it is in there, but it's in there as a
In the
like
taxes.
evaluation,
Is that what it
but
says?
not for the actual pilot that the town gets.
Okay.
If that was the case, then we would be in a very good situation. But
So we're
it's
back
not.
to normal.
We are back to normal. So we are receiving the revenue that's due to us from the state park, and unfortunately, it's
That lasted a day.
How can current use on a huge campground be only
well, because the purpose of current use is to have, when a property is in current use, it's land in its natural state. So what happens is it's assessed for taxation purposes at a much lower value than market value. And that's so that the tax burden isn't as high to the property owner. In this situation, it's a state-owned property, so it's exempt from taxation anyways. But again, it's land in its natural state. But the pilot is calculated based on that equalized.
But I was asking specifically about the campground. The campground is not in its natural state.
Correct.
That's consistent of 265 acres.
Yeah. Of the 4,700.
5,500 acres.
Yeah.
The whole, if you put everything all together, it's 265 acres. So I'm sure there's mathematics. 265 acres on the state, even though it's still in current use, kind of in current use or tax exempt. That's probably the reason why we're getting the $4,000.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're only going to pay $2 on all that, or $3 on every acre.
So it has prompted a whole lot of conversation at the state level, and hopefully they'll be submitting some type of documentation that will clarify. And
Hopefully it's not written by a lawyer so people can understand.
I said, it's a very impressive turnaround for that information.
yes, it was very impressive. I'm
Well, would have looked all bad if it was the other way.
So moving forward, just some updates for some various departments. For the fire and rescue, the new ambulance has been moved up in the queue. It's next on schedule to be built. I actually think it's going in this week or next. So we're still tentatively looking at an October arrival for that. There was a reported accident with engine 2 that happened at the fire station. The driver navigated too closely to the building on the return from 2 calls. He hit the bollard, which protected the building, which was a great thing. However, there was some cosmetic damage done to engine 2. Initially, we thought it was going to be cosmetic, not that much. It did go up to Lakes Region Fire Apparatus. We're waiting for an estimate of its repair. I have submitted a claim to Primex. So we're just waiting on that. So we're subject to a $1,000 deductible, whatever it comes out to be, and we will be getting it fixed. While it was there was some other damage that was done to the front bumper. Sometimes toward the beginning of the year, it was never reported. We never reported it to insurance. It wasn't reported to the office. It wasn't reported to Primex. We have an estimate of repair of that, and it's about $8,800. So I'm trying to work with Primex to see if we can go back and file a claim to perhaps get it fixed. It's not a safety concern, however, it is damage to our equipment, and we're trying to preserve the value of it. So that's where I'm at on that. I'll have some updates on that once I hear back from Primex as to whether they'll let me do a late
The
file.
cost estimate would generally have a time out of service as well.
Well, we're hoping that we can take care of both repair items at once if I can get Primex to cover the additional work to be done.
Okay.
They still have to send out their insurance adjuster just to make sure. If they're going to come out, they're going to estimate the damages, and then they're going to take into consideration the quote that we've already received. So I'll be able to report more once I have some more solid figures.
How do we need to cover for I know we have some redundancy, right? We have 2 engines, I believe.
Well, we have mutual aid with
Yes, so
surrounding
you-
towns,
Okay,
so if they need an extra, they'll just call.
okay.
So.
Was it the tanker truck or was it the,
No, it's
Engine 2.
engine 2.
okay, so it's restricted. Oh, sorry, I didn't. Should have read it before I asked.
For the police department, Fawn has been able to locate a potential candidate to fill a part-time shift. There's hope that they may be bringing back the part-time police academy in July, but they need a minimum of 10 candidates to make it happen. So if not, they might not have the part-time academy. So she's done some looking at her budget, and she doesn't have the money in the part-time line, but she does think that she has it in other line items where we could send this person to the full-time academy, obviously keeping them on part-time, but with the potential to move her up to full-time if a vacancy should occur. I mean, as difficult as it is to find police to fill positions, that's what her recommendation is, but she would like me to run it by you to see if you had any reservations with that process. Obviously, we're going to move forward part-time as long as the academy moves forward, but other than that.
She thinks she has it in her budget and other lines or whatever, and it doesn't impede the operations of her department over there, I'm okay with it.
I wish we had a guarantee,
I know.
There's no guarantees.
you know, send somebody to, even if it's a part-timer that we're gonna send to the academy as a full-timer.
Yeah.
And then they come out,
Why can't you sign a 2-year?
You can't hold them to that. You can try,
I mean, we've signed people at our work to it, it's just,
but.
be like you sign on for 2 years, and if you don't, the cost of your schooling will need to be reimbursed. I mean, even if it's not a 7-year contract, it's usually 2 years.
It's not,
To get them some experience to be even marketable anyway.
there's no cost to attend the academy per se. It's paying the person a full-time wage for 16 weeks.
Okay.
That's where the cost of this is.
Okay.
So, I mean, you figure that out. I mean, I think Fawn and I loosely figured it out just for the wages. It was around 12,000.
I mean, it's not the end of the
Have we
world.
reached out, nobody else ever signs any type of short-term?
There are a lot of terms. There are a lot of towns that do them, and then it's just a matter of being able to collect on it if they move on. Then it becomes a legal issue.
We lost somebody to Rochester, and they absolutely refused to pay for the early, the fee, whatever it is, that they broke the
Yeah,
contract.
broken contract.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can certainly try it.
And again, if Fawn finds it necessary and proper, then
Well, hopefully we can just go into the part-time academy and not have to worry about it right now. Knock on wood, we're
so this
staffed.
is
We're not in need of a
isn't
full-time
something
officer.
that's tentative to happen. This is a thought that's could happen.
If they don't hold the part-time academy.
When do
The
we
part-time
find out?
academy is in July. So as soon as what they're doing, they're accepting signups now. So as long as they get the 10 candidate minimum, everything just goes through.
Okay. So, if the state gets the 10, this will go through and we'll get a part-timer, and
Correct.
if not, okay.
Yep.
It's self-explanatory.
For the town office, the lighting retrofit has been completed in the gymnasium. It's nice and light and bright out there. LED lights, hopefully more energy efficient. Art Jenks completed it for us. He also replaced some of the broken ceiling tiles that have been long overdue. We had the lift in there, so it made sense to do it all at once. So it looks much better in there.
Excuse me, were the tiles replaced at the same time or not?
Yes.
Oh, wow, I only saw them do the bulbs.
Mhm.
That's cool.
Yeah, he did them a few days before.
Oh, okay.
So we're just, again, looking at the gym for additional work that needs to be done. I'm still looking for some tile replacement where we did the under drain repair, and it would look really nice with some fresh paint where we took down the rock wall, the climbing wall, but obviously we'll see what the budget leaves us with. For recreation, the summer camp schedules have been distributed. The town beach is opened. And then obviously I already told you about the lifeguards. There's 2 on staff, but they'll only be on duty at the town beach when the summer camp is there. For the highway department, our public works director resigned. His last day was this past Friday. I did complete an exit interview with him, so I can share that information with you. Position has been advertised on the website, Indeed.com, New Hampshire Municipal Association. It's been passed on to UNH's T-squared program. There's still multiple vacancies in the department itself for heavy equipment operator and truck drivers. That's been advertised. I have actually received a plethora of applications for both positions in the past week, so I'm just sorting through scheduling interviews with people, and hopefully we can get the position filled rather quickly. All of the positions, that is. We'll see. At the recycling center, Wayne disassembled the old can crusher just to make some room and do it in preparation for whatever we choose to do with its replacement, or just to, he's hopeful for a plastic baler because we have to separate the plastics now. There was a tire storage, the tire storage container that you approved the purchase on at the last meeting that has been delivered set. It's all in place behind the building. The tires that are there are covered over until they're picked up, and then that will be our new storage location.
Did we get an updated bid for the cost for the new?
Yes, there was no change.
Oh, there was no change.
No change. No, and they were going to remove the old can crusher for us, but Wayne took care of it and disposed of it. So we're good there.
How was it this weekend? I saw the tire thing.
Okay. Are you happy with it?
That big, the big whitish yellow box that sits behind it, sure is beautiful.
Real quick, I don't want it to kind of, lose the sight from the board, but I just want to make sure we stay on top of the office for rec department.
Yes. I believe we left it Tim and Steve were going to take a look at the areas, but now we need to add Matt into that. I'll get you a copy of what they were trying to do. Rec is looking to move into here, and then we're talking about moving this meeting space into the next room beyond the food pantry.
Okay.
So we have cost estimates that were obtained before I got here, just to do that.
The plan is more intense, the cost is the.
Yeah.
And we also need to keep in mind that we should plan a dedication ceremony for the Rolling Thunder POWMIA chair that was donated to the town.
Yeah, I need to figure out where we're gonna put it. I'd like to see what the general public can see it. Space out there is kind of
It is very limited.
premium out there,
Mhm.
so.
Well, and then how you want to, do we put the state flag, the American flag, do we stances around it, and now we gotta think about that too. And, do we do donations for that, that maybe people wanna help contribute, or is it something that the town just wants to pay for those expenses? I don't know how much that would be, could it be $500 to $1,000 for all that? Cause obviously we don't wanna make it look like crap.
Yeah.
So, I don't mind, but that's something we have to discuss too, about getting prices, if anyone wants to take a lead on finding what that stuff costs, or what we need for 4 things, Red Road.
But where would that go? That's the question.
Well, again, right, that's the key too, but we
Yeah.
still gotta,
You need the other components.
we still need the other component too, find
Yeah.
out how much it's gonna cost.
We can bump out a display section in a wall, frame it in, put some lights. It is. Anything's possible.
I did think about that one strong on the other day, and maybe it was on Memorial Day, but is that something that would be, like, if we put it in the library, would it see more use in the library, and more stored? I'm not trying to impose on the library, but they have, I know you don't use the chair there, but I'm saying like isn't the town's veteran memorial at the library in front of it? Yeah. Several of our other components are over there, and maybe the facility itself is in a nicer state that it would be better represented, but that's taking up library space. We'd have to ask how that would impact their operations, because it's obviously a 4x4 at least square. But
Well, again, that would be, so, that's a nice, I think you're correct on adding that, because what's nice about that is that the younger generation that are going in, and the new younger people that are going in, for us older people, we understand what it was.
Yeah.
It might be something nice to have that younger generation see it and ask the question of why is this here, what it's about, to get the understanding of what our history is.
yeah,
So maybe a location like that, since it is a learning institution there.
I think that's worth looking into.
Yeah.
I can
check
reach
it
out to the library trustees and see if they would entertain it.
Anything else?
We already talked about the primary. Oh, do we wanna look at dates for the recycling center?
Yes, for recycling center work session.
How soon are you looking to have it?
Probably the next few weeks if we can.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get it over with.
Will that be a public session?
Wednesday, Thursday, I don't know.
It would-
Wednesday-
it would be a
Wednesday,
work
I guess
session.
I have a planning board
Oh,
meeting.
will it be
actually.
public?
Mondays will
Yes,
probably.
the public could
But
attend,
if we get
yes.
it done now, we don't have to worry about budget coming in and using it Thursday, so this is gonna be our least, our next 2 months is our least congested,
Mhm.
besides, but that's usually the time where we'll have the most free weeknights available before we get into budget, before we get into,
So what is it, Monday or Wednesday? Oh, Monday and Thursday usually?
or Tuesday, they're about, I can do Mondays, Tuesdays, or Thursdays, so you guys pick a date and I'll be there. Wish I had something better to say, I had something to do, but I don't.
Anybody want to shoot for next Tuesday? Does that work?
I'm
The one thing,
likely
I'm
gonna have.
off the shift for the next, Wednesday morning, I get off shift, so I'll be out for a week and a half, so I'm available next Tuesday. I would have to check what time of day, but I believe with that should work.
I can't do Tuesday evening next week.
What about Monday?
No, can't do Monday either.
So what day works for you?
Next week, none,
No.
because we've got baseball every night, and then we're done. We could be done.
So
I
what
say
about-
we have baseball every night, we just got crushed by rain, so who knows, but, we might be done after 2 games.
What about the following Wednesday or Thursday?
Is that the 21st?
21st, 8th grade graduation, and I'm on second shift that week, so that week's out.
What time are your games, Tim?
6 o'clock, so like usually like I can do like.
I was gonna say, do we have the ability to meet before he has a game? Do you, like, what would be the earliest that you could meet in the afternoon?
I work in Hudson, New Hampshire, I get off work at 5. So 6 o'clock is my day.
6 o'clock is your day.
I'm available anytime
So
after
should we
6.
meet on the ball field?
Cut to that.
How about the week of June 26th? I know it's not before our next meeting, but Monday, June
You know, as long
26th.
as we get it done in the next month and a half, I don't care what we
Yeah.
do. I mean, that'd be most prudent that we get it done. That, I think could still, for us, be taking quick action if we get it done in a month and a half.
So you want to shoot for the 26th?
As long as it's good with all you
Yeah.
guys.
I'm not really, sorry.
What is the 26th, what is that?
It's a Monday.
Well, as long as we have a quorum, I guess.
Yeah, Steve will be back
Yeah.
by then. Steve will be back next week.
So why don't we tentatively pencil in the 26th?
Okay.
What time?
I'll leave it up to Tim.
Oh, no, I'm fully available.
All right, 6? 6:30.
6:30.
6:30?
It's like, I'll get a quick something before I come sit here.
Oh, you just want to come straight here?
We can do a pizza party.
If it's on Monday, my lives are open.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah.
Got that out tonight.
Well, that changes things.
Yeah, see?
And I just need a brief non-public from legal.
Okay.
While you all folks are thinking about dates, just to remind you, hopefully you've heard about it, we've kept the tradition of this reading of the Declaration of Independence alive that we kindled at the 300th. So on Tuesday, July 4th, from 8 to 10, we'll be at the DAR building, Town Square, and we'll be reading the Declaration of Independence. There'll be music and food.
Would that be put on by the Nottingham Historical Society?
No, it's brought on by a committee called Celebrate Nottingham.
Is that a new one?
Yes, which
Okay.
we hope to inherit the 300th group from that, merge from that, and therefore possibly get the money from the 300th to continue that tradition. Some of the things we did on the 300th to continue again, like the bonfire and some.
I really like to see that come back.
Again, so this committee, we have a small committee of which Steve Welsh is on, so you'll love her. And the idea is to keep some of these local traditions alive and going. And the Declaration of Independence, it was a great time, we're gonna do it again. And yes, the bonfire, so that's what we're hoping to inherit the child of the 300th committee. That's what we're working towards.
So would that be looking also just for the leftover funding that was left over 300 for, if it passed, when we go to the vote on it?
Yes, I'm lobbying you for it, yes.
That's what I figured you were lobbying.
But the people, the trustees told me I have to do a warrant article, I don't know. But it just seems to me, it's nice to have that money for town events to keep going.
And this would be the town event.
Yes, these will all be town events that will be free and using some of that money.
Well, it'd be nice if you could let us know if you are gonna have a committee for that and who's on the committee.
I can tell you right now.
Well, sure, but again,
No, but I'm working on it, but the answer is.
is it a 5-member committee, a 7-member committee, is it 3, is it?
Right now, it's, Kathy Fernal is on it, Joe Welch, and Steve Welch, and myself.
Okay.
So it's a beginning to keep certain things that we liked at the 300th to keep going. That's the whole idea. That was incredibly successful, the Declaration of Independence. I don't remember for years it was this kind of a private event at Deming's store.
Yep, I remember.
And then that kind of lapsed with COVID. Now we're gonna keep it going on this July 4th and perpetuating.
Okay.
So thank you for letting me talk.
You're welcome, Steve. Review action items for next meeting.
We will be opening any sealed bids received on the 10-wheeler. I haven't received any yet, but hopefully we'll have some.
We're actually gonna sell that.
We're
Okay,
trying.
good. We may have to give that thing away.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I saw our old truck sitting over at the highway department, at the dump. It's gonna be a rust bucket in it soon. Already have to put flowers in.
All right, so that's it for the review?
Any other action items? No.
No. All right, I'll open it up for public comment. If anybody has any comments.
I have a comment if I may.
Come right up, sir.
First of all, the reading of the Declaration has been going on for decades.
Yes.
It's a legacy event here
It is.
at Denver Store. I want to ask you, and I don't know if you already discussed this tonight, where are you on the fire chief and lieutenant?
Can you state your name, please?
Doug Cummings,
Thank you.
348 Stage.
I actually have a report on that for the non-public session. I believe all of the interviews have been completed. We're just waiting on the report from.
And the report is private,
It is.
all right? And will the contents of that report ever be told to the citizens?
We don't know that yet. I won't know until we have the report in hand from the attorney.
Okay.
And our attorney's gonna review it, right?
Correct.
All right, and that's fair enough, I suppose. I represent no group, and I'm sure that the Vilchots would be surprised that I came here to ask you that. They don't know that I'm here. The whole thing has been a real embarrassment for our town. This is something that you know about, right? That we have elected you folks to represent us, our morals and values. And I don't think that was represented in this case. So certainly we're interested as to what's going on here. We hope we'll hold, I was here 60 days ago, and you told me maybe in a week, 2 weeks, we'll have some information. That was 60 days ago, so now it's all still up in the air. This report that's coming, it's gonna be delivered tomorrow, you said?
I'm hopeful.
Okay. Then I'll leave now, and we'll wait to see what happens from that.
Thank you.
What's your name?
Doug Cummins,
Anybody else? Going once?
and I'll bring you the PA.
Okay.
What?
I'll bring you the sound system.
Oh, that's
I want to make a motion to adjourn.
Yeah.
Well, we're not adjourned, we're gonna move to non-public, right?
Right, but we, yeah.
Make a motion to move to non-public for RSA 91A:3 to
E for legal.
E.
I think.
Motion made by Tim DeBrio, seconded by Matt Sherlin. Roll call.
Matt Sherlin, aye.
John Moore and I.
Ben Bartlett, aye.
Tim Gabriel, aye.